There is a plant growing at the edge of your yard right now that contains more calcium than milk. 481 milligrams per 100 grams. Milk has 125. That is nearly 4 times more calcium from a plant you have been taught to fear. It contains more iron than spinach. Actually, not just more, 3 times more. 1.6 milligrams per 100 grams versus 0.81 in spinach. The vegetable Popeye made famous cannot compete with the weed you rip out with gloves because you are afraid to touch it. This plant has more protein than most leafy greens, more vitamin A than carrots, more vitamin C than oranges. It has been used as medicine for over 2,000 years. Roman soldiers carried it in their packs. Medieval peasants survived winters because of it. It grows on every continent except Antarctica. And you have been pulling it out of your garden your entire life because someone told you it was dangerous. This is stinging nettle, Urtica dioica, the most nutritious plant you have been trained to hate. Welcome to Recession Roots. Before we dig deeper, if uncovering the free food hiding in plain sight matters to you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every video preserves what they taught you to destroy. The story begins in the Bronze Age, approximately 3,000 years ago, when humans first began weaving nettle fibers into cloth. Burial sites in Denmark have yielded nettle textiles dating to the late Bronze Age. This was not a weed to ancient peoples. This was one of the most valuable plants in existence. They wore it. They ate it. They healed with it. By the 1st century AD, the Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder documented nettle in his encyclopedic Natural History. He described soldiers rubbing fresh nettles on their skin during cold campaigns to stimulate blood flow and stay warm. He recorded recipes for nettle soup and nettle porridge. He listed medicinal applications for joint pain, respiratory illness, and wound healing. The Romans did not avoid nettle. They cultivated it deliberately and carried seeds to every territory they conquered. The Greek physician Dioscorides included nettle in Demeteria Medica, the medical text that guided European medicine for 15 centuries. He prescribed nettle tea for respiratory ailments and nettle poultices for inflammation. He noted that despite the sting, the plant was among the most valuable medicines in the natural world. In medieval Europe, nettle became survival itself. During the Great Famine of 1315 to 1317, when crop failures and endless rain killed an estimated 10 to 15% of the European population, peasant families turned to wild plants to stay alive. Church records from England, France, and Germany document nettle consumption during the famine years. Monasteries distributed nettle soup to the starving, the plant that grew in every disturbed patch of soil, every forgotten corner, every edge of field and forest, kept entire communities from starvation. It happened again during World War I. When the Allied blockade strangled Germany, cutting off food imports and causing mass starvation, the German government issued official guidance on wild food foraging. Nettle appeared at the top of every list. In 1916 and 1917, during the Steck-Reuben winter, the turnip winter, when hundreds of thousands of German civilians died of hunger and malnutrition, nettle soup sustained those who knew where to look. In World War II, occupied Europe faced the same crisis. Nazi forces seized food supplies across the continent. In the Netherlands, during the hunger winter of 1944, when 22,000 people starved to death, families who remembered the old knowledge gathered nettles from roadsides, canal banks, and bombed out lots. The plant required nothing. No cultivation, no care. It simply grew, and it fed anyone desperate enough to harvest it despite the sting. The sting. That is what they taught you to fear. When nettle leaves and stems contact skin, tiny hollow hairs called trichomes break off and inject a mixture of histamine, acetylcholine, serotonin, and formic acid. The sensation is immediate, burning, itching, small welts that last minutes to hours. This is why most people avoid nettle entirely. This is why parents teach children to stay away. This is why the most nutritious plant in your backyard remains unharvested while you buy calcium supplements at the pharmacy. But here is what they did not tell you. The sting disappears completely when you cook nettle. 30 seconds of heat destroys the trichomes. Steamed nettle tastes like spinach with more depth. Sautéed nettle has an earthy, rich flavor that chefs in Scandinavia and Eastern Europe prize. Dried nettle has no sting at all. You can harvest with gloves, cook for 1 minute, and eat a vegetable more nutritious than anything in the grocery store. The science confirms what our ancestors knew. In 2016, researchers at the University of Freiburg in Germany published a comprehensive nutritional analysis of Urtica dioica. The findings were remarkable. 100 grams of blanched nettle leaves contain 481 milligrams of calcium. 100 grams of whole milk contains 125 milligrams of calcium. Nettle provides nearly 4 times more calcium per serving than the food the dairy industry has spent billions marketing as essential for bones. The iron content measured 1.64 milligrams per 100 grams in cooked nettle. Spinach, the vegetable most associated with iron, contains 0.81 milligrams when cooked. Nettle delivers more than 3 times the iron while also providing the vitamin C necessary for iron absorption. Spinach contains oxalates that actually block iron uptake. Nettle does not. Protein content reached 3.3 grams per 100 grams, exceptional for a leafy green. Vitamin A exceeded daily requirements in a single serving. Vitamin K, essential for bone health and blood clotting, measured over 500% of daily needs. Magnesium, potassium, zinc, and B vitamins all appeared in significant concentrations. Dr. Gülsel Kavalali at Istanbul University compiled decades of nettle research in a 2004 monograph. She documented over 50 bioactive compounds in nettle leaves, roots, and stems, anti-inflammatory compounds, antihistamine compounds, blood sugar regulating compounds. The plant that makes you itch contains chemicals that treat itching. But here is where nettle becomes scientifically extraordinary. In 2013, researchers at the University of Naples published findings in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology showing that nettle root extract reduced symptoms of benign prostatic hyperplasia as effectively as pharmaceutical interventions. Millions of men take prescription medications for enlarged prostate. Nettle root, available for free in every temperate climate, demonstrated comparable efficacy in clinical trials. In 2017, a study published in Phytomedicine found that nettle leaf extract reduced inflammatory markers in patients with osteoarthritis. The same plant medieval physicians prescribed for joint pain 2,000 years ago has now been validated by double-blind, placebo-controlled research. The pharmaceutical industry charges hundreds of dollars for synthesized versions of compounds that grow wild in your backyard. The supplement industry sells nettle capsules for $20 to $40 per bottle. The plant itself costs nothing. It requires no cultivation. It spreads on its own. It has been waiting outside your door your entire life, and that is precisely the problem. You cannot patent a plant that has grown wild for millions of years. You cannot create proprietary nettle seeds because it spreads through underground rhizomes that no corporation can control. You cannot force annual purchases when a single plant establishes itself and returns every spring without replanting. You cannot monetize something that monetizes itself for free, so they taught you to fear it. Every gardening guide lists nettle as a weed to remove. Every landscaping company offers to clear it from your property. Every childhood memory of brushing against nettle and running to a parent reinforces the message. Dangerous, painful, unwanted. No one told you the sting lasts 15 minutes and the nutrition lasts forever. The dairy industry spends hundreds of millions annually marketing milk as the essential source of calcium. Got milk campaigns, celebrity endorsements, school lunch programs mandating dairy consumption. Meanwhile, nettle provides 4 times the calcium with 0 lactose intolerance, 0 environmental impact from cattle farming, and 0 cost. The supplement industry generates over $50 billion annually in the United States alone. Iron supplements, calcium supplements, multivitamins, protein powders. Products manufactured in factories, shipped across continents, marked up through multiple distribution layers, and sold to people who have free alternatives growing within walking distance of their homes. When the next recession hits and supplement prices rise beyond what families can budget, nettle will still be there. When dairy becomes too expensive for working families trying to feed growing children, nettle will still provide 4 times the calcium. When inflation makes grocery store vegetables a luxury, nettle will still offer more iron than spinach, more protein than lettuce, and more vitamins than most cultivated crops combined. Learn to identify it. The leaves are heart-shaped with serrated edges, growing opposite each other on square stems. The entire plant is covered in fine hairs that are visible when backlit by sunlight. It grows 2 to 4 feet tall in dense patches along streams, forest edges, disturbed soil, and anywhere with partial shade and moisture. It spreads aggressively once established. Most gardeners consider this a curse. It is actually a guarantee of permanent food security. Harvest with thick gloves in spring when the leaves are young and tender. Cut the top 4 to 6 inches of new growth. Rinse thoroughly and steam or sauté for at least 30 seconds. The sting vanishes completely. The flavor is earthy, green, slightly mineral. Add to soups, pasta, risotto, or eggs. Dry the leaves for tea that European herbalists have prescribed for allergies and inflammation for centuries. Do not eat nettle raw. Do not harvest after the plant flowers, when the leaves become tough and develop compounds that can irritate the urinary tract. Do not harvest from roadsides where car exhaust has contaminated the soil. Find clean patches away from traffic and pesticide drift. The plant will tell you where it is happy by growing in dense, healthy stands. One patch of nettle, established once, will feed your family calcium and iron for the rest of your life. It will return every spring without replanting. It will spread without encouragement. It will provide medicine and nutrition regardless of the economy, regardless of supply chains, regardless of what happens to the systems we currently depend on. The Romans knew this. Medieval peasants knew this. Your great-great-grandmother probably knew this. The knowledge was not lost. It was suppressed. Replaced by industries that profit when you buy what you could harvest for free. Every person who learns to see nettle as food instead of threat becomes harder to control. Every garden where nettle is cultivated instead of eradicated is a small act of nutritional independence. Every bowl of nettle soup is a bowl that required no corporation, no factory, no supply chain, no permission. We did not lose nettle. We were taught to fear it. The teaching took generations and cost nothing to implement. Just tell children the plant hurts. Let them learn to avoid it. Never mention that the hurt lasts minutes and the healing lasts millennia. But the plant never left. It is still there, at the edge of every forest, along every stream, in every neglected corner where humans have not yet sprayed, paved, or poisoned it out of existence. It still contains more calcium than milk, still contains more iron than spinach, still waiting for someone to put on gloves and remember what we forgot. If this root revealed something for you, subscribe to Recession Roots and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they taught you to fear. The next root breaks ground soon.